Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate. It's really nice to see such a crowd come out for a topic like this. It's also an amazingly diverse group of people, which is at the essence of what we're going to be talking about tonight, diversity. The current crisis on this globe is, in some ways, it's not new. It's deeply human, but at the same time, there's new dimensions to the crises. Technology is certainly one of them. It's had a huge impact on us as a species. We now know and can see all over the world what's happening to other peoples. In the past, you could live relatively peaceful in a place if you were fortunate. I'm sure the Ohlone Indians here 300 years ago did not know about all the problems that were happening, for instance, in the Middle East at the time, whereas now we do. We see all these problems, and it becomes a little overwhelming for people generally to deal with that. We're as a species, we're probably not designed to have this type of crisis overload, one after another, and hence a lot of people literally turn off. The verses that were recited in Surah Al-Ma'idah, the chapter called the table spread, Al-Ma'idah in Arabic is actually, there has to be food on it to be a Ma'idah. If it's not, it's called Khuwan. So those verses are very interesting verses because they, for this topic, because they're basically essentially telling us that God has given each group a shara, a law, and a minhaj, which is also a Hebrew term, a methodology or a way of applying that law. And it says, had God wanted, he would have made all of us one community. But in order to test you, he's made diversity. And then it says, فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ, vie in virtue with one another. Vie in virtue. There's many verses in the Quran. And then after that, it says that God will explain why you were differing on the Day of Judgment. So there's this idea of just deferring until the Day of Judgment what these differences are about. Because humans will differ. We've been given intellect and we have free will and we reason for ourselves. So we're going to differ. That's part of the human condition, difference of opinion. And the Muslims developed a very sophisticated art called the art of differing, the adab of ikhtilaf, the courtesies, the comportment, the decorum that goes with differing. And there was a whole system that traditionally you needed to learn before you could get into a debate with another. And part of it was just respecting the other's opinion and listening to it before you made your own judgments. Obviously, civil discourse is at the essence of a civilized society. From one perspective, the Quran is an argument. It's an attempt to persuade us of its truth. And it leaves open its rejection. I mean, it can't be a real argument if there's no possibility of rejecting it. So, فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Whoever wants to believe in this, let him believe. And whoever wants to disbelieve, let him disbelieve. That this is a choice. And that's a really important aspect of the Quran. In a society where we need to live together civilly, we want persuasion to be a verbal power and not a military might that imposes on others. What you're seeing now in the Muslim world is attempts to impose ideas on other people. There's been a lot of despotism in the Muslim world for a long time that's created a certain environment. There's an immense amount of tribalism, and tribalism is at the essence of a lot of the problems. Our Prophet ﷺ once, the Ansar got into a fight with one of the Muhajirin. In one riwayah, they were actually young. They were teenagers. And the Ansari, the man from the indigenous people of Medina, called out, Ya lal Ansar, oh Ansar people, come help me. And then the Muhajiri, the immigrant, called out, Ya lal Muhajirun, oh you immigrants, come help me. So they came out ready to duke it out. And the Prophet heard this and he went out. And he said, in my presence, you're going to call to this jahili, this ignorant call. And then he said, دَعُوهَا فَإِنَّهَا مُنْتِنَا. Leave this ignorance because it's a foul thing. And then he said, help your brother, the oppressor and the oppressed. And they said, how do we help? We know how we can help our brother, the oppressed, but how do we help our brother, the oppressor? And he said, by stopping him from his oppression. So he was teaching them something very important that many, many places in the Muslim world, they've forgotten. The idea of truth is what we should be pursuing, and not what is called in the hadith asabiyya, this fanaticism, this zealous belief in the superiority of your own group. I was involved, and I've been a student of Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayez now for over 20 years, when he saw the Christians and all of